important update to a story we first reported last year. Lisa Fletcher dug into a giant account that critics call the Pentagon's Slush fund. Now Lisa reports that fund could be about to get a new injection of money with you paying the bill, and critics in both parties worried about abuse.
The Overseas Contingency Operations Account, or OCO, was designed as a safety net for unplanned expenditures during times of war. Some say it's become a wiggle room for waste that no one's watching.
When you make these kind of gimmicks and play with the different accounts, it makes it unbelievably difficult to kind of hold the Pentagon accountable, for Congress to do real oversight.
Ryan Alexander is the president of Taxpayers for Common Sense. She's been tracking spending by the Pentagon for years. The account is outside the Pentagon's budget, meaning it is not subject to spending limits set by law. Alexander claims that opens the door for out-of-bounds spending. In 2014, the Pentagon tried to shift $1.9 billion in overseas contingency operations funds to buy F-35s that weren't even working at the time. Congress ultimately rejected that request. Last year, $69 million in funds from the account were used for a detention facility at Guantanamo Bay, not an unplanned wartime expense. $66 million was spent on upgrades at a long-standing naval facility in Italy, also not unplanned or war-related. And a parking apron in Djibouti and an Army base in Cuba were also on the OCO tab, neither falling under the fund's requirements, according to critics. Spending like that has drawn longtime condemnation from both sides of the aisle.
There's been great concern on a bipartisan basis that OCO over the years has been used as a slush fund.
It's really a way of cheating, a way of being dishonest in your accounting.
Critics once included current acting White House Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney before he worked for the Trump administration.
I'm here once again to talk about the Overseas Contingency Operation budget. My opinion of it by now should be no secret to anybody. I don't like it very much.
When he was in Congress in 2016, Mulvaney sponsored legislation to limit spending in the account. Now, the White House Budget Office wants a steep increase in OCO spending for 2020. The acting White House Budget Director faced questions about it during a House hearing on the budget request.
Now, let me ask you about OCO, which we call the slush fund. How much does the president propose cutting the Defense Department's slush fund in fiscal year 20?
We propose increasing the...
How much are you proposing to increase it by?
Increase it up to from $69 billion to $164 billion.
So you're proposing
$164 billion. Almost 1/4 of the entire proposed defense budget for 2020 is in the Overseas Contingency Operations Account. To put that in perspective, if OCO were a federal agency, it would have a bigger budget than most of the others, including the EPA and the Department of Justice.
The OCO account on its own would be the second largest agency.
What percentage of the OCO budget actually is for direct war spending?
Only 15% of the OCO budget is going to direct war spending, which, you think about it, that's crazy.
Now, a White House budget official defended the request for more money to the fund in an op-ed. He wrote, "It is the only fiscally responsible option to meet national security needs while not exceeding spending caps created by Congress."